Welcome back to the Previously On podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Like I said before, if you have been living under a rock, Members Only Palm Beach is the show on Netflix right now. And we have Hilary from the show on the pod. Hilary, welcome to Previously On.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
We are so excited to talk to you. Obviously, the drama has not stopped since the show has come out. I feel like it is just constantly rolling into more drama.
Oh, God.
And so obviously this is kind of the first time you've really spoken out since the show. I know a lot of your fellow cast members have gone on podcasts to speak. Obviously Rosalyn just went on the Vial Files and kind of shared a lot, especially regarding you. So I'm very excited to hear your opinion. Let's start. So obviously you and Rosalyn on the show, there's this little bit of a tiff throughout the whole season, but it's not that apparent. But now I feel like she's kind of brought a little bit more into it. I'd love to get your take on it. So she says that you obviously now are in your real estate era, a little bit out of the charity realm, which is I guess Rosalyn's main avenue. So she says that she doesn't really see you as a threat. I would love to hear your take. Do you think you're a threat to Rosalyn?
Rosalyn's not really in my universe, right? Yeah. I mean, she had been a member of Mar-a-Lago apparently for 4 years. I've been a member for 22.
Right.
And I candidly have never met her, heard of her, or really spoken to her. Right before the show, Taj and I were friends, but Rosalyn came new onto the scene. And then she was on, and then she wasn't going to do it. And so during that period of time when I was planning the Millie Migley event and the big party at my house, I invited all of my business associates from Paltrona Frau, because they're my design partner in the new house. They're so spectacular. They make all the dashboards and the seats for Ferraris. So I was sponsored by them in the race, and I drove their car in the race. And this was a big moment for me, this first party of the season at my house. So I invited my neighbor, and I invited 2 of his friends, especially since I was parking cars in his driveway. I mean, come on. It's a must-have to do when you're having a party.
For sure.
And as it turns out, he and his group of friends had some serious issues with Rosalyn. Possibly had, hired some lawyers to have her stop talking about them. So it was pretty serious. And so I couldn't have them both at the same event. Now, had I known that as a cast member, she was going to really be a cast member, I never would have invited them, and I would have apologized to him and explained to him why. But the fact is, that became a theme throughout the whole show. Hilary excluded Rosalyn, but there was a reason.
Right.
There was a reason that I couldn't talk about, right? What are you going to say when you're on the show? You weren't going to do the show? You can't talk about the show when you're in the middle of the show. So I just felt like that became her story, and it was a false story, because it's not really why. I'm not an exclusionary person. I happen to have dedicated my whole life to nonprofit work. I, for 20 years, had a company. First, I worked in 2 or 3 nonprofits as their head of corporate sponsorship. Most recently was the Franklin Institute Science Museum, where I met my future husband, Pete Musser. That's another part of the story. And prior to that, the Sports Car Club of America, another 501c3, and then started my own company where I consulted to nonprofits in the area of earned revenue for 20 years. Additionally, I literally started the American Revolutionary War Museum. Even when I moved here, I was on multiple committees. I can't even remember which ones. And then, I sat on a member event last week at the club, and my friend Sarah said, "Don't you remember, that magazine Gail pulled out at the end of the show? I was the chair for that event. I was the one who asked you to do it." And I was like, I did so many events on committees. probably, I don't know, 50 different committees over the years. I had no memory of it. I go, but why did I not meet Gail?
Yeah.
And she goes, because she never came to any meetings, because for personal reasons, I'm not going to talk about that, but she never attended any meetings.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, because, I did feel a little taken aback by that picture. Like, I don't remember knowing Gail. There's 30 women in the picture, but
Right.
still. So I was there. My friend did ask me to do the committee, and I've done so many committees. I've been to so many balls and supported. I mean, the policeman's ball, John Scarper started it. I've gone almost every year, unless I'm out of town, which I am this year.
Mhm.
I've purchased so many things. I actually purchased my wedding villa, that I got married to my husband at,
Oh my God.
at a different charity event for the Historical or Botanical Society or something like that in the Hamptons. I mean, I do stuff all the time. I just don't talk about it. And I'm even uncomfortable talking about it now, but I do kind of feel like I have to defend myself.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I responded the way I did on the show, where I said, I just write a check, I don't have time, was because I didn't feel like pontificating about my life, what I did, who I know. I'm not into that. I'm allergic to phony. I'm allergic to liars. Okay. And it just doesn't sit with me. And I'm too busy. To get into it. It's not important. It doesn't identify who I am or who I'm not. Some years I do more than others.
Yeah.
It depends how busy I am. So that's kind of my response to that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of feel that because I feel like
as
there's a
long-winded
lot.
as that was, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I feel like you're right. Like you kind of have to now list all the things that you do because like in the podcast, Rosalyn kind of was saying that you aren't really involved in charity work now anymore. And so I appreciate you taking the time and kind of like listing all that out. I think there is a lot of like name dropping.
I might ask her if I were interviewing her to say, how much money did you write to each of these charities? What was your check?
Yeah. I'd be interested to know.
I mean, I know what my checks were.
Exactly.
But she never talks about her checks. She just talks about attaching your name to something. But I'm not undermining it at all.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's terrific that she's really interested in certain things.
Yeah.
And she seems to really love, the Gray Team and A Place of Hope. And I applaud that.
Mhm.
Honestly, I do. But just leave me out of it.
For sure. Yeah. I actually want to touch on what you said. So you obviously said that Rosalyn is a little bit phony, a little bit of a fraud, and she kind of addressed that in the podcast that she went on with the Vial Files and said that basically she isn't a phony and she's not really sure why you would say that about her. So obviously you're doubling down, standing on her being a phony. Why do you call her one?
Well, it's not that she is a phony. It's that she behaves in a phony way. When, what didn't make it to the show was she said to me at the end of the show, why do you have this wall up between us? And I wish it was in the show because I think it was really telling.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I really thought about it. And I said, I do have a wall up. And while I'm sorry that you feel that way, I don't think I'm going to be able to take that wall down until you really show me the real Rosalyn. Because behind all that, I'm sure there's a person, but you never show her, right? You're all about the show. And I'm not about the show. So I want to know who you are. And when you're ready to reveal her to me, then we can start to take the wall down. And I think that was a really fair answer. But, it was edited out, which is fine. That's not my call. But I would have liked to have seen it in there because I think what I'm saying is I'm not sure about you because I haven't seen the real you. You haven't been authentic with me, and I know it because I smell it. I feel it, right? And you may like me and you may not like me. But what everyone who knows me will 100% say about me is you will always get the truth from me and you will always get the authentic Hilary, like it or not, right?
Yeah.
Really, like it or not. So I think the important thing is what was missing from Rosalyn's podcast was how we got there, how I got to the point where I felt that I had to just say, look, man, she doesn't tell the truth about me. And the worst part is she's not authentic about herself. So she claims to be a one-man band. I never look left and I never look right. Jonathan is the only man for me. And I just said, she was married before with 2 kids. I stated a fact. Mm-hmm. It wasn't fiction. The fiction that was stated by her in the end of the show and really poked the mama bear, because the most important thing in my life is this kid, mm-hmm. Cooper Musser, who you saw on the show and is one of the most awesome and very feeling. He's an actor. So, actors, they feel a lot. He feels everything. So what happened was Rosalyn said something so vile about myself and Pete Musser in regards to our relationship that it really stuck me to the core. What she said was, he was 50 years older, which is not true. And she then proceeded to say, it must have been so disgusting to F. Mm-hmm. I can't say the word on television, or, what, I can't say it. Yeah. I never say that word. It must have been so disgusting to somebody that much older. What kind of a person does that? And proceeded to talk about me like I was a gold digger. She or Gail called me a gold digger. I'm not sure if it made it on the show or not. Mm-hmm. So for me, when someone makes such false statements about what was one of the most beautiful relationships of my life for 12 years with my son's father, and then we come home from the premiere, because we have this premiere on the 29th.
Okay.
On the evening of the 29th, I came home. I snuggled in bed with my son, which I love to do, and he's 22, and he still is willing to do it with me. And he said, it's not going to last much longer, Mom. I'm like, okay. And we watched the last episode, and he hears those words, and I could see the tears welting in his eyes. And he took the remote and he put it on pause, and he looked at me and he said, I was just so nice to her. I talked to her kids. Mom, nobody speaks about my parents like that. Please don't ever put me in the same room with her again, because I don't know what I'm going to do if I'm in the same room with her. He was so upset. And I started crying. He's crying, and I don't cry that easily. And, I was like, you can say a lot of things, but the one thing I never did to any of the cast members, and I never would have, kids, husbands, off limits.
Yeah.
Off limits, especially kids. I mean, unless somebody's husband does something directly to me, I'm not going to bring it up.
For sure.
I don't really know them, And this was a fact that wasn't hidden. Everybody in Philadelphia and her Bucks County world knew about it. I'm very close with one of Jonathan's fraternity brothers, and he personally told me that everybody knew. They were all there when he met her, and she had 2 little kids. The story was not a secret. I didn't tell some deep, dark secret. So I knew that for so long. I knew it for the whole show, and I never pushed it out there, right? But when I saw that those words that I don't really even remember her saying, and I saw it on the television, and I knew that the whole world was going to see it, and all of my son's friends were watching. Imagine being 22 and having your friends hear that about your dad, who passed when he was 16 from a car accident, who he loved and admired and revered very much, and now on the world of Netflix, the biggest medium in the world,
right,
for streaming, all the people are going to hear that. And that's what really got me. It has nothing to do with what I said. I simply said she was married before and had 2 kids, which was not only a fact, but not a secret. And so I feel like when you're on these shows, you can't try and hide things like that because it's a small world. We're all divided by like 1 degree of separation.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put yourself out there to be on a show, I think you have to be willing to like own your truth.
Do you think that there was a lot? Also, thank you for sharing that moment. I am so sorry that you and your son had to see that and be affected so, negatively for that moment. So I just wanted to say thank you for sharing
Thank you.
that moment.
I'm not going to cry, but it hurt. Yeah.
For sure. I can imagine. Is there like a lot in the show? You seem to have mentioned that like a lot of things weren't really added. Do you think the show kind of made that narrative, or like what do you think now watching it back, how like either Rosalyn was like saying all this stuff just to get airtime, or do you think that there was a lot missing from the show that we didn't see between you guys?
Well, I think, listen, I love my producer, Johnny Gould is the executive producer. I love him. I think Netflix, Derek, they all did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Look, my goals and their goals are very different, right? Why I did the show and wanted to be on the show and what I was hoping for to come from it is very different.
Yeah.
They're looking to make a hit show, which they did, that a lot of people watch and talk about. And they did a great job. And I am fully supportive of that. What happened in my world during that 2-month period that ended up on the cutting room floor is completely at their discretion. But it doesn't mean I can't be disappointed about it.
For sure.
I put on a party that was like a $500,000 party, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I brought in the Israeli pianist Tomer, who runs the Israeli Philharmonic. I brought in Sandy James Catering, who had mounds of literally stone crab pods, which we all know how, much they cost. And they donated everything, beautiful lobster, crab, shrimp, towers of food everywhere.
Yeah.
$500 bottles of champagne, and nobody got to see it. Plus all the renderings of my house while it was only just studs. And then this other girl, Jassy, brought in all this furniture. So we made a job site look like a real house. And it was so cool. Yeah. And I worked so hard in it. And I shut my job site down for like 10 days, which cost me a lot of money just in time. And we had beautiful, stunning porta potties, like porta potties like I've never seen. And I made everything so elevated, and I didn't get to share it.
Yeah.
But they said they might use it in some promos because they know how kind of upset I am about it. It's like, it would have been like any party. It would be like if I threw a huge party and nobody came, I would be like so bummed.
Yeah. I know that you said that on the show, you and Taja kind of like formed a really nice bond. Gail came on our podcast and said that you two kind of were like bullying her throughout the show. I know you, alongside Gail, you've been in this business, you've been in Palm Beach more than the newer girls. Where does your relationship stand with Gail now?
Well, I think if you watch the show, you'll see she just talks right over me and rolls right over me all the time. And you can't get a word in edgewise, so I don't really know how she feels bullied by us at all. I mean, in the scene, when her wig fell off, I wasn't even there. Number one, I was home making dinner with my son and husband, which you saw in a separate scene.
Yeah.
And I didn't bully her. I just said, I think you should stop name dropping. Your record or whatever you have done is being sullied by the name dropping. Like, we don't need to know. You don't need to give us your resume every time you talk to us.
Yeah. So you don't feel like you were bullying her or that
I've never been accused of being a bully in my whole life. I think it's ridiculous. And I think, again, it's just sort of sensationalism for PR. I mean, I feel like what I do on the show is I give fans an opportunity to look inside, a $42.5 million house in Palm Beach Island. They get to look inside my house. I share my home. I share my closet. I share, so many things with the fans. They get to see the elevated lifestyle of what it's like to live here.
Love it.
And I wish I could have shared more of the spec house, which is so important to me. It's being landscaped right now. If you just tune on to hilarymusserhomes.com or either my website or more importantly, my Instagram, you'll see videos almost every day. Especially people love to see like progress videos.
Is there anything else you feel like you need to address or clear up?
Oh, well, about the charity thing. So this Saturday, I'm having 150 people to my spec house. So there's nothing like a good party to move people along.
Totally.
I mean, the house is done, but the landscaping and all that. So it's for the Human Rights Council. So I'm really excited about that. And then at my personal home, I'm hosting for Cancer Alliance in February. But if the spec house is still mine, which I hope it's not, we'll do it there.
Okay, fine.
And I've just been asked to co-chair in February the Furry Friends with my friend Kimberly. So, I mean, yeah, but I don't do any charity work.
Right. So Rosalyn saying that you are not in her realm of charity work anymore is just not true.
Okay. I disagree.
Perfect. Well, Hilary, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. I hope you had a good moment where you feel like you were able to clear up a lot of things and address everything. So I really appreciate you choosing us to do so. Is there anything that you feel like going into season 2 that you kind of hope your narrative goes, or are you going to kind of take a step back next season?
I'm working, on what my future is going to be. I've had recently to really kick butt women join, my team. And I'm really excited to introduce you to them if we have a next season, which we hope we do.
Yes.
So we're going to be like the female empowered, brokerage firm. And I'm so excited to kind of build also even further that piece of my business after I sell the house. So I think, I'm not sure about my future in building. I'm tired. I might venture into focusing on some other things.
I love that. Can you tease anything you'd maybe be focusing on?
Well, I really love designing this line of merchandise. And I'm also an interior designer.
Right.
So I would like to design more home good merchandise because, I think I kind of have that's a real passion.
Totally.
I've built so many things, a museum, 15 houses, over the years that now I think it's time to create something else that I can touch and feel that isn't quite so complicated as a 13,500 square foot house with a second story pool.
Right.
Okay. And a dock and an elevator and all this kind of stuff. I mean, the details and just the technical aspects of that. Maybe time for me to travel a little with my husband. Enjoy being on this show. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
During and after.
For sure.
And focus on my merchandise line. Hilary Musser Homes merchandise. I have some surprises for next season of other things I'm doing with fashion and interior design. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that side of Hilary in
looking forward to it.
Potential season 2.
Thank you so much, Hilary. You are the absolute best. Everyone, don't forget to go check out Hilary on all socials, her website. And if you haven't watched Members Only Palm Beach yet, what are you doing? You got to catch up because if it's going to be a season 2, you have to know what's going on. Hilary, thank you so much.